Picture this. I'm a young kid, around 5 or 6, and way before I had Lego Batman for my DS, or Lego Batman for my Xbox, or this fucking dope-ass Lego Batman Batcave. Seriously, look at this thing. Long before I had a DS or my Xbox, I had a chunky CRT TV with a DVD player. Right below the TV and a little to the right, we had a cabinet that housed a whole library of DVDs. Now, when I wasn't in my room making stupid little Lego movies with my dad's old Nokia phone, I'd be in the lounge room, playing the games that came loaded onto these movies, in the DVD extras or special features section. I played the shit out of some of these games, and I turned what was basically 30 minutes of content into days of playtime. Out of this small library of DVDs, there were 2 games in particular that kept my attention for longer than others. 2 games that, even though I constantly completed them, I would still put them back in the DVD player. One game introduced me to the freedom that a video game allows, and one game scared the shit out of me so bad that it still kind of scares me to this day. But the 2 games taught me something about the medium of video games that helped define my interest in them to this day. My name is Doreen, and this is how DVD Extras introduced me. Oh, for fuck's sake. Dinosaur. I don't think a lot of people actually remember this movie because out of all the people I've spoken to about it, I can't even recall one of them saying that they had seen it too. It's such a shame because for someone who is obsessed with dinosaurs, like I was when I was 6, this movie is cool as fuck. It essentially follows Aladar, an iguanodon who must trek to the fabled nesting grounds after he and his lemur friends? Hold on a second. Aladar and his lemur friends must trek to the fabled farlands after literally surviving one of the largest extinction events in history. Okay, so in terms of actually being realistic, this movie falls flat, but who cares, because we're here to see this silly little game. So this is Aladar's Adventure, a game in which you need to explore a series of caves in order to find your friends, find water, and finally to escape. It's a simple enough premise, but as a kid, this gave me a sense of exploration akin to anything I've played nowadays. The thing is, this game is spooky as fuck. You can get a good idea of the spookiness from the footage playing in the background. Not only does it have those unnerving early 2000s 3D graphics, but it also only plays in a 4:3 aspect ratio, and it runs at a terrible resolution. This unintentionally gives it that creepypasta-esque vibe that I became all too familiar with in my early days on YouTube. Combined with the setting of a dark, dingy cave, this game is strikingly unnerving. As you progress through the game, you can come across a series of dead ends. Some pathways are blocked off by stalactites and stalagmites, others caved in, but one in particular scared me as a kid. Now if we go right here, I'm pretty sure there's a very cool section. It's like a reference to some other game or something. Ooh, what's this? Holy fuck. Did the Carnotaur just crash my fucking game? Okay, well you didn't quite see it there, but turning right in this cave leads to a gif of a Carnotaur that promptly eats you. Clearly this encounter was too spooky for my computer to handle, and very much like my younger self, it chose to not look. The rest of the game has you search caves for water and clear rocks to escape this labyrinth you found yourself in. While the second cave of the 3 at the start of the game isn't overly notable, the final cave is. Where the first cave scared me, the third cave just frustrated me. In order to escape this cave system, you must clear the rocks in this rubble in a certain order, otherwise you'll cause an entire room to cave in, killing you in the process. This part frustrated me as a kid because it was entirely luck-based, so clearly my nitpicking little prickness was cemented from a young age. The only way you could find out which rocks you weren't supposed to remove was to click on them and risk yourself getting killed. It got to the point where my dad and I crudely drew the shapes of the rocks we shouldn't touch in a boring sequence of trial and error. After probably half an hour, we managed to get through to the end of the game, only to be rewarded with a little cutscene at the end. Seems to be a common theme with these early 2000s DVD Extras games. But before I get too critical of a game that probably 3 people made in a poorly air-conditioned office back in 1999, I'll just say that this section is definitely the weakest of the 3 caves. Putting aside the fact that the gameplay of Aladar's adventure is about as consistent as the movies want to be historically accurate, this game taught me how an interactive medium such as video games can have such a sense of achievement and discovery to them. It gave me a taste of what video games have to offer, and it's safe to say that I was left wanting more.
This Disney DVD is enhanced with Disney's Fast
God,
Play.
where did I put the
Your
TV
movie and a
remotes?
selection of bonus features will begin automatically. To
Come on,
bypass
where is
Fast Play,
it?
select the main menu
Shit,
button
shit,
at
shit.
any time.
There it is.
Fast Play.
Oh, thank God. Fast forward around 3 years from the release of Dinosaur to the Christmas of 2003. Everybody's favorite planet-owning megacorporation releases a collection of short films featuring recognizable Disney characters. See, the thing is, I was never much of a Disney kid. I never really watched many of the so-called classic Disney movies, and when I tell people that I've never seen The Lion King, they look at me like I just told them that I think Justice League is an objectively good movie. I guess I just never really got around to watching them. This idea continued with Winter Wonderland. With Dinosaur, I can vaguely remember certain scenes of the movie in my mind, and generally I can actually recall what it was about. Whereas with Winter Wonderland, all I can remember is Chip and Dale being in a supermarket or something. So given that, it seems like every single time I pop this into the DVD player, I would inevitably navigate to the bonus features menu and to a game called Snowball Madness. Snowball Madness starts off with Donald Duck finding out that his sled has been stolen by his shithead nephews. So now it's your job to chase them as they run amok all over the place. After Donald comes out of his house looking like a fucking fridge, the nephews retreat and you have to chase them all the while they lob snowballs at your face that you have to dodge via a quick time event. In combination with the shitty early 2000s 3D that I mentioned in the Aladar's Adventure section, this game makes the absolutely not harrowing decision to make all of its characters 2D cardboard cutouts. These two polar opposite concepts combine to create an abhorrent creation that still strikes fear into me to this day. So once you complete the quick time events and somehow lose the nephews yet again into a forest, you progress onto the next level. The second level of the game has you navigate through a forest in search of snowballs. You can progress along this grid and check behind snowmen in hopes of finding buckets of snowballs. It was here that VLC decided to shit its pants and not render the icon of Donald Duck, leaving me blind in this labyrinth of snow and ice. So instead you'll have to watch this footage that someone else recorded. I genuinely cannot stress this enough. Something about these goddamn snowmen scares the shit out of me. I can't put my finger on it, but it's there. Anyway, once you collect your 3 buckets of snowballs, you take the fight to the nephews. Once you make your way to the front of the low poly ice castle, you're greeted with a view directly down the barrel of a fucking cannon. It's at times like this that I wonder why anyone thought this was a good idea. This shit is terrifying! As a kid, I found this part of the game so scary that I would run out of the room if I got too overwhelmed. While nowadays I have a slightly higher tolerance to horror games, it's easier to see where my palpable nerves come from when I play them. So after you endure having a cannon aimed at your face for long enough to hit the nephews 10 times, I guess they just kind of give up because, hooray, you get your sled back. Donald is so happy that he gets to go for a ride on his sled. But what do you get?
You did it! You helped Donald get his sled back. Now we can go on a fun ride through the snow on this beautiful winter day.
A 10-second cutscene. To be fair, I shouldn't have been expecting that much, but for a 6-year-old kid who just endured some of the scariest shit in his life, I was expecting just a little bit more. In the end, unlike Aladar's Adventure that left me frustrated but still wanting more, Snowball Madness scared me in a way that ironically made me not want to play it as much as I did want to. Though it scared me beyond belief, I had a drive to finish it, and I guess, in a way, a drive to prove that it couldn't get the better of me. Going back and playing the game again honestly wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. Initially, it made me feel a bit off, but once I got into the quick time events and the point-and-click parts, thrilling gameplay, I know, the effects seemed to wear off. In terms of what Snowball Madness taught me about video games, not only did it teach me that they can be scary as hell, but it taught me that video games can have a variety of content, and it furthered that appealing sense of achievement and progression that I gained from Aladar's Adventure. Thanks, Snowball Madness, but I think I'm going to relegate you to the back of my closet for the rest of eternity. It seems that in the years before I really started playing video games, my interest in them only grew with my addiction to these bonus feature games. Whether I knew it or not, while I played them, I was learning about the enriching emotions and cathartic experiences that playing a good game incite. Nowadays, I find myself immersed in more and more realistic worlds every single day. Worlds where I can fight an oppressive alien race, or worlds where I can fight a god with a flimsy metal sword. Or if I'm feeling really adventurous, worlds where I can bully children. I mean, play dodgeball. You know, who doesn't like dodgeball? Despite all of this, I can still appreciate my roots, however amateur and unintentionally terrifying they might be. And finally, thank you, dear viewer, because if you're still here, my viewer retention rates are shocking, and you're probably a part of like the 10% of people that make it to the end of these videos, so if you're still here, you should subscribe. It's free, and I'm planning on making more content like this, so if you enjoyed this video, then I think subscribing would actually pay off. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time I upload. Or whenever the algorithm decides to throw me a bone, whichever comes first.